Do you feel as if you're trapped in an invisible cycle? Days pass, months change, the calendar moves forward, but inside, something remains motionless. Emotions return like old acquaintances, and results repeat like an endless echo. It's as if life, despite your intentions, is running on the same gear, never releasing a new path. You've tried everything. Powerful visualizations, affirmations in front of the mirror, hours in meditation, practices to keep your vibration high. And yet, reality seems to laugh at your discipline. You seek change, but the scenario remains the same. The feeling of stagnation silently erodes you, as if there's a vibrational loop you can't escape. And then the question that pulsates from the depths of your soul arises. If I do everything they say, why does my life stay the same? Why doesn't the cycle break? The truth is, it's not about insufficient effort or a lack of faith. What keeps the cycle alive is an old frequency, trapped in the quantum vacuum, being reflected back like a perfect mirror. The vacuum doesn't distinguish effort or desire. It simply returns what vibrates in its essence. Awakening is not born from the brute force of wanting. Awakening happens when the old vibrational identity is dissolved, allowing the field to respond to a new signature. And that's exactly what we'll go through together here. The revelation of how this invisible loop operates, how it traps your frequency, and, above all, how you can break this code and access the space where synchronicity opens up and reality begins to respond differently. The cycle doesn't repeat because you failed. It repeats because you still vibrate like the one who sustains it. You look at your life and realize it seems to move in circles. With each new cycle, you start full of intentions, plans, and hope. However, the final results feel all too familiar. It's like being stuck inside a repeated song, where the melody changes in subtle details, but the chorus always returns, bringing the same feelings, the same pains, the same outcomes. This weight of invisible repetition is no mere coincidence. It manifests as an echo that reverberates within you, a silent call that insists on bringing back the same circumstances. You think something new is coming, but deep down, it's just the vibrational reflection that has never been altered. It's painful to notice this contrast. On one side, the flame of desire for change burns. On the other, the harsh reality returns patterns you thought you had already overcome. It's like planting seeds in different soils, but always harvesting the same fruit. The feeling is one of spiritual injustice, as if the universe has forgotten about you. But it's not about injustice. It's about the hidden logic of frequency. As long as you carry the same vibrational signature within you, the field simply returns it impeccably. It doesn't matter how much you dream or declare intentions. If the energy doesn't change, the harvest remains the same. The subconscious is a master at sustaining this repetition. It anchors old patterns as protective mechanisms, convincing your body that the familiar, even if painful, is safer than the unknown. Thus, without realizing it, you walk inside a corridor of mirrors. Every step you take, every gesture, every choice is returned in multiple identical images. You think you're moving forward, but you're only walking through the same reflection in different dimensions. This is the invisible prison. It's not your failure, nor is it a divine punishment. It's just the continuation of a frequency that refuses to dissolve. You live as one who changes the external scenery, but carries the same internal stage. You can change cities, relationships, jobs, and yet the narrative repeats because the original vibration has not been altered. And it's at this point that you need to awaken to the essential truth. You are not failing. You just haven't realized that you are transmitting the same frequency repeatedly. The vibrational loop is not fed by bad luck, but by the invisible energy that insists on returning, because it still finds space in your field. This awareness is harsh but liberating, because by noticing the repetition, you also see the possibility of breaking it. The weight of invisible repetition is not a final sentence, but a call for a profound change in your vibrational signature. Before we continue, If this video is being helpful to you, please subscribe to the channel, like it, and leave a comment. This helps to strengthen this quantum journey we are living together even more. The quantum vacuum is not empty, but rather the fertile space where all realities coexist as possibilities. It carries no judgment, measures no effort, and differentiates between desire and fear. Its nature is neutral, silent, and absolute in its impartiality. It simply reflects what it finds in your frequency. You can pray with intensity, repeat mantras for hours, and affirm your new identity every day. But if underneath it all, your vibration remains stuck in the old pattern, the vacuum will only return it as a perfect mirror. It doesn't respond to the volume of your voice, but to the coherence of your vibration. Imagine yourself standing before a deep lake, so serene that it perfectly reflects the sky above. If the sky is covered with heavy clouds, the lake will reflect clouds. If the sky is clear, the lake will reflect the light. The lake does not choose, judge, or prefer. It simply returns with precision what is presented before it. This is how the quantum vacuum works. And it's at this point that both the challenge and the opportunity lie. Because the vacuum is not moved by your anxiety, does not respond to your haste, and is not swayed by your pleas. It only returns what you are in essence, what vibrates silently in the deepest part of your energetic signature. This neutrality, although it may seem cold, is the universe's greatest gift. For it means there is no favoritism, no closed predestination, no insurmountable barriers. Everything is returned according to what you sustain. If you change your frequency, the entire field responds. If you dissolve the old layers, the reflection inevitably changes. Many despair, believing they are being ignored by the universe, that their requests are not heard. But the vacuum doesn't hear words, it feels vibrations. You can say, "I trust," but if you vibrate fear, the field will reflect circumstances that confirm that fear. You can affirm, "I am abundant," but if you vibrate scarcity, the reflection will come in the form of limitations. Awakening begins when you understand this. It's not about forcing the vacuum to respond. It's about becoming the frequency you want to see reflected. The vacuum is impartial, but it is just. It does not deceive. It does not fail. It does not let anything escape. It always returns what you vibrate, even when you are not conscious of it. And here is the key. If the vacuum is a mirror, then every repetition you experience is not a mistake, but a message. It is showing you what your energetic signature truly sustains. Every situation that returns is not punishment, but a sign, a faithful reflection of what you have not yet dissolved. When you understand this truth, the pain of repetition transforms into revelation. What seemed unfair now reveals itself as a vibrational map, and the question that was once accusatory, "Why does nothing change?" converts into a call. What frequency still vibrates within me that needs to be dissolved? The vacuum doesn't hear your words. It feels the vibration of who you truly are. Within you, there is a silent code, almost impossible to be perceived by the conscious mind, but one that guides every step, every decision, every reaction. It is the invisible code of repetition, woven into the subconscious and sustained by the body as a survival mechanism. It does not seek your growth, it seeks only your continuity. This code is formed from past experiences, crystallized emotions, and memories that have repeated so many times they have become the automatic language of your vibration. It's like a hidden track. No matter how much you try to move on to another path, there is an internal force that pulls you back to the known route. You can change your setting, change people, even change external practices. But if this code is not dissolved, the energy remains intact, guiding reality to the same outcome. This is why so many people are frustrated when they realize that, despite all their conscious efforts, they end up finding the same relationship patterns, the same financial cycles, the same emotional crises. The subconscious acts as a guardian of familiarity. It says, "It's safe here because I already know it." Even if this safe is painful, it is still maintained because the deep mind prefers the repetition of suffering to the risk of the unknown. Thus, you live as one who changes clothes, but continues to wear the same vibrational skin. It's like being in a room of mirrors where every movement, no matter how creative it seems, returns in the form of identical reflections. You think you're changing, but you keep being returned to the same scenario because the vibrational essence has not been transformed. This invisible code is subtle. It doesn't reveal itself in conscious words, but in automatic signs. The way your body contracts in the face of something new, the way an opportunity awakens fear instead of expansion, the habit of sabotaging something good before it blossoms. It manifests not by what you declare, but by what you vibrate without realizing it. And this is where the revelation becomes clear. It is not what you consciously desire that manifests, but what your body silently vibrates. You may want prosperity, but if you vibrate scarcity, the vacuum will return limitations. You may ask for love, but if you vibrate rejection, the field will reflect distance. It's not about condemnation, but about vibrational logic. The vacuum, as a perfect mirror, only returns what it finds in your energetic signature. And as long as this invisible code is not dissolved, the cycle will continue to repeat. But here also lies hope. If the code is invisible, it is not invincible. It can be revealed, it can be dissolved, it can be transmuted. The consciousness that awakens to this pattern already begins to undermine its strength. What was hidden is now seen, and what is seen already begins to lose the power to dominate. In silence, this is the first step toward liberation, realizing that you are not failing, but merely repeating a vibrational code that has not yet been broken. With each repetition that returns, the field does not condemn you. It simply points to where energy is still trapped. The invisible code is not an enemy, it's a map. It shows exactly where the transformation needs to happen. There is a decisive moment in the journey of one who awakens, the point where the old frequency begins to dissolve and the new one is not yet totally stable. It is the threshold, the space between worlds, the moment you realize you no longer fit in the old identity, but have not yet fully anchored the new one. It is precisely at this moment that resistance intensifies. The old frequency, sensing that it is about to lose territory, reacts with force. It manifests as doubts that once seemed dormant, as fears you thought you had already overcome. It appears in the form of sabotage, delays, and obstacles that seem to arise from all sides. The body responds with fatigue, unexpected symptoms, and even emotional crises with no apparent cause. You look around and feel that everything is stuck. The path seems closed, the sky seems silent, and reality seems indifferent to your effort. It is at this moment that many give up, believing they have failed, when in reality, they are going through the most delicate part of the process. The dark, night before the quantum dawn. This feeling of stagnation is not a sign of defeat, but of dissolution. The old vibrational signature is dissolving, but like any system that loses energy, it tries to resist before surrendering. It's like a flame that shines brightly seconds before it goes out. The field, at this moment, is not ignoring you. It is waiting for you to sustain the new frequency, even in the face of the void, even in the face of silence. This transition requires spiritual courage, because there are no external proofs, no immediate confirmations, no guarantees. All you have is the internal certainty that you can no longer live as before. You feel that the old skin no longer fits, but the new one has not yet been fully worn. It is the vibrational desert, the liminal space between the old and the new. And it is exactly here that the call becomes more intense. When everything seems stuck, it is because your old identity no longer finds a place in the field. What you feel as paralysis is, in fact, proof that something profound is dying within you. This is the call to stay, not to retreat in the face of resistance, to sustain the void until the new manifests. Because it is in this space, where nothing seems to happen, that the old frequency finally collapses. And when it collapses, the field opens up space for a new vibrational signature to flourish. The quantum transition is not gentle. It is a birth. It requires going through the pressure of the old to make way for the birth of the new. And just as a seed needs to break its shell before it reaches the light, you need to go through this moment of rupture before you experience the full awakening. If the field seems silent, it's not because nothing is happening. It's because your old identity no longer has a place to sustain itself. The moment comes when you understand that awakening does not manifest by adding more practices or multiplying efforts. The true quantum leap happens when you dissolve the old vibrational signature and align with the frequency of your new identity. For this, some spiritual keys become fundamental. The first key is conscious breathing. The body holds memories, and each cell vibrates with patterns from the past. When you breathe consciously and deeply, allowing the air not just to fill the lungs but to expand your energy field, you send a message of safety to the body. It's like reprogramming your biology to welcome the new. Conscious breathing dissolves rigidity and opens up space for the new frequency to begin to settle in. The second key is observation without collapse. Usually when old patterns emerge, whether in thoughts, emotions, or circumstances, you judge them, fight against them, try to suppress them. But the secret is not in fighting, but in observing. When you witness a pattern without identifying with it, it loses its strength. It's like watching a shadow that dissolves as the light turns on. The field responds not to your struggle, but to your ability to remain in coherence even in the face of the old. The third key is rehearsing the future, self. This does not mean superficially imagining, but rather feeling with the body the vibration of the expanded version of yourself. Close your eyes and enter the vibrational state of the one who already lives the reality you desire. Feel in your heart, in your body, on your skin, the signature of this version. By doing this repeatedly, you train your biology to sustain the new frequency until it becomes natural, until the vacuum has no choice but to reflect this new state. These practices do not depend on long hours or grand rituals. What matters is vibrational consistency. 5 seconds of coherence are more powerful than 5 hours of scattered effort. The field does not measure the amount of time you dedicate, but the intensity of the vibration you sustain in the present moment. Quantum awakening is therefore less about adding and more about dissolving. It's not about piling new techniques on top of old patterns, but about releasing the old frequencies that no longer serve. When you breathe consciously, observe without collapsing, and rehearse the future self, you not only open up space, you create a resonance with what already exists in the field of infinite possibilities. And then, little by little, you stop living as one who waits for something to change and start living as one who has already embodied the change. This is the true key, not to seek but to be, not to wait but to vibrate, not to ask but to embody. Awakening is not born from adding more practices, but from dissolving the old frequencies that no longer serve. When the new frequency begins to stabilize, something mysterious happens. Subtle signs begin to emerge in your life. They do not appear as concrete proofs or immediate results, but as invitations from the field, reminders that you have entered another vibration. These are the synchronicities, the coincidences that don't seem like mere coincidences, the unexpected encounters, the repeated numbers that flash before your eyes, the dreams that carry symbolic messages. These signs are not guarantees that everything is already solved. They are indications that the resonance is changing, that the quantum vacuum is already responding to your new signature. But the most important thing is not the sign itself, but the posture you adopt in the face of it, because synchronicity does not come to prove, it comes to call. It's easy to get excited about these signs and believe that the process is over. But the truth is that at this point, you are still in transition. You are in the liminal space, the fertile void between the old and the new. It's like being between two musical notes, in the silence that prepares the next melody. This space is sacred because in it you learn to trust without proof, to sustain faith without evidence, to vibrate coherence even when the external has not yet completely transformed. The temptation in this space is to doubt. It's to look around and think that nothing has actually changed. But it is precisely there that the call becomes more powerful, to remain in the void without collapsing back into the old, staying present in the liminal field, even when everything seems uncertain, is what opens the door for the new reality to manifest with solidity. Synchronicities come as lighthouses. They light up the path to remind you that you are not alone, that the field responds, that something is already in motion. Every repeated number, every unexpected encounter, every feeling of déjà vu is like the universe whispering, "Keep going, you are on the right path." And it is in this space, between what has already died and what has not yet been born, that your true faith is revealed. Because believing in the face of evidence is easy, quantum awakening requires believing without any visible proof. It is here that your vibrational signature solidifies. Your faith without evidence is the seed that makes the vacuum respond with a new reality. Now that you have gone through this journey, it is time to gather all the pieces into one deep call. You realize that the vibrational loop was never a punishment but a reflection. It was not a lack of effort, not an absence of faith, not indifference from the universe. What kept you trapped was simply the old frequency, transmitted repeatedly and perfectly reflected by the quantum vacuum. You recognize that the field does not respond to what you say, but to what you are, that it does not return desires, but vibrational signatures, and that every repetition you have experienced until now was not a sign of failure, but an invisible map pointing to where your energy was still trapped. You also understand that the dissolution of this invisible code does not happen without resistance, that the moment of being stuck, of silence, of stagnation, is not the end. It is the threshold. It is the darkest night that announces the dawn. It is proof that the old identity no longer has a place in the field and that the new one is about to flourish. And then the keys begin to reveal themselves. The conscious breathing that reprograms the body. The observation without collapse that dissolves patterns. The vibrational rehearsal of the future self that anchors the new identity. All of this is not to add more layers, but to dissolve the frequencies that no longer serve. Because awakening is not about forcing, it is about releasing. It's not about seeking, it's about embodying. And in this process, the field responds. Synchronicities begin to emerge as signs that you are already vibrating differently. The liminal space, once feared, reveals itself as the fertile womb where the new reality is being gestated. And you understand that your faith, sustained without proof, is the seed that inevitably makes the vacuum respond. Now, at this moment, you are called to decide. The cycle ends when you decide to stop repeating it. Awakening begins when you embody your new frequency. It is not a distant tomorrow. It is not an external event. It is now, at the moment you choose to dissolve the old signature and sustain the new one. Welcome to the quantum awakening. The vacuum is already responding to your new vibrational signature. If this message resonated with you, be part of this collective anchoring. Subscribe to the channel, leave your comment, and share this video. Every gesture is a vibrational wave that strengthens the field we are sustaining together. You are not alone. We are many awakening, and the universe is already celebrating the frequency you are choosing to sustain.